Howdy. In our lesson today, we are going to be learning about the importance of celebrating for success and finding those wins everywhere. Not just because it's fun, though from our lesson on fun, we know that that is an essential component to a full, boldly satisfying life, but because it actually helps create a pattern for success when we can use these tools and we can celebrate our wins. So, first and foremost, a note about success. That looks different to everyone. Now, if you've been indoctrinated in the same culture I have, you'll perhaps not know, but you'll have received the idea that success is career based, that it's financial based, and it's status based. And that might be in alignment with your definition of success. And that's totally fine. For most of us, it's not, or it's not enough, because it can be great to reach financial heights and to have respect and admiration in our communities and to have a fulfilling career. Those things are certainly in alignment with my version of success, but they aren't complete. And that might be the case for you too. There is no one definition for what success is for everyone. There can't be, because for someone, it might be buying their dream car, where I drive a Kia that's 14 years old and I don't care. It's a great vehicle that does what I need it to do, and that's fine with me. So that's not my version of success, and neither of us are wrong. It might be having a family, and for someone else, that is not their idea, right? So we can't give a definition of success. So part of the work that goes with this lesson is to define for yourself in a whole way, a complete way, what success means to you. You're going to be looking at that from all different areas. And I want you to be selfish in that. This week's lesson is going to feel selfish potentially for some folks. And that's great. Just go ahead and throw shame out the window straight away. And if you took the lesson on the most important member of your team, you'll know that shame has no place here anyway. So you're going to just be real with that wherever you're at today and recognize that it can shift and change and grow as you do. You don't have to have, a commitment to the idea of success you came up with 10 years ago or even 10 minutes ago. It can be changing all the time. So you're going to be developing that for yourself. Whatever extent you can, cut all ties to your current idea of success that has been given to you. Maybe you've already done some of this work, you've done some soul searching, you have recognized who you are and the life you want to live, and you're moving in that direction. So that's great. Put that stuff on there. Whatever's present for you now, you can't mess this up. You will be defining success for yourself. You also want to have a definition for success with each thing you're working towards. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. But let's first get into celebrating those successes. So once you have your idea of success, then some of us meet it and then move on. And we meet it and we move on. And we meet it and we move on. We have goals or intentions for ourselves, and we get there, and then we just right away jump to the next thing. I don't know if you resonate with that, but I can definitely say I'm guilty of that, especially of us illuminators, where we are very hungry for full experience. We're very hungry to be positive impacts in the world. And we're advanced in the self-awareness and self-mastery path because we're actually walking it, right? And we're dedicated to it. So we can get in this space of what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next, and not actually pause down to honor and spend a little bit of time with our successes. The motivation's a little bit different. When we're in this space of what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next, we're not actually building a pattern for success. We are building a pattern for always looking for the next thing, which means we're not in the present. It means we're not valuing ourselves and our efforts. And it's a pattern, all right, but it's not going to have the same results as a pattern for success. So having this practice in place, and it is a practice of celebrating your successes, is actually going to shift your mind and your mindset. Now, we've learned in other lessons that our brain just receives the data that it's given and then seeks out the perception of experiences accordingly, right? So when we start focusing on our successes, our brain will start finding these wins everywhere. And you're going to get to explore this and practice with this a little bit in this week's field work, which I think is really fun. Speaking of fun, celebrating things that you have done is fun. And I cannot say this enough, and maybe you haven't bought into it yet, but fun is essential for the path of self-mastery. Play is as important as work. So if we're talking about a success, we're talking about you have worked towards something, you've played towards something, you've put energy, effort, time, and resources towards something that is of value to you. And you have reached that space, that version of your success in a particular area. And that success that I kind of mentioned we talk about earlier, that I earlier mentioned we talk about in a bit, that success can also be project related, task related, day related. It doesn't have to be necessarily, here's what success looks like in life. So you're going to be looking at it from two different levels. Here is how I know I'll have had a successful life. You're going to be doing some writing around that in your assignment. And here's how I know how to recognize success in this particular project, day, area, subject, goal, whatever it might be. When we pause to celebrate those successes, it's fun. It helps create a success mindset, all of which is very important. And it gives us a moment to explore what worked. What about your efforts, energy, resources, time, attention, etc., helped lead to your version of success? When we just move on, we miss out on a really important learning opportunity. And just as we can explore what worked, we can also explore what didn't work. In doing this, we get to tweak things, we get to pivot, we get to become more efficient, more effective in being in alignment with who and what we truly are and how we show up that way in the things that matter to us, the things that are of value to us. So let's say you had a project and you completed it and you pause down to celebrate and to have some fun and to just honor yourself and celebrate yourself and what you've done. And you find out, oh, you know what? I could have actually skipped step 3, 7, and 11 in this, and I didn't actually need those at all. Uh, so next time, you know, you can tighten up your process, right? Or maybe you're like, oh, I overcomplicated this area. I didn't need to do that. Or here's what I learned from this that I can apply universally elsewhere. Having that data, that analytics is so important for success. People who reach big time success, and when I say big time success, I mean they are showing up in big ways in alignment with themselves and the life they're here to live because they pause and they are constantly evaluating and reevaluating their process, because it's not about the big goal in entirety. It's about what steps are taken to get there. People who are not successful stay big vision oriented. I can fall into this category personally, and they don't actually make a plan for how to get there, or they don't have any way to measure it. They continue to make the same errors or missteps, or put in more work than they need, or have it take longer than they need, or maybe not take long enough, right? So when we pause, we are evaluating, we're measuring what worked, what didn't work, what can I carry forward, what do I just need to leave behind that is ready to be released, what patterns am I finding that show how I show up, right? That display who I am at my core, or perhaps some growth areas that need some attention, as we learned in our most important teammate lesson as well. So yes, there's the fun component, and there is the pause to evaluate so that you are always moving closer and closer to your mastery, closer and closer to your alignment with self. Another note on the fun part of the celebration. We know better than most about the reward system in the brain, and that it is our built in biological motivation station. And that we are designed, for better or worse, depending on where we're at, we are designed to be trainable through pleasure. And many of us hacked that in a disruptive and harmful way. And now, knowing that, we can use it to our advantage. So when we celebrate and we do things that make us feel good and we acknowledge our wins, we actually have that chemical release that feels good, that feels pleasurable, that feels enjoyable, that will help motivate us to repeat it, because that's what the reward cycle is all about, and will help build a pattern. We know all about reward cycle patterns, don't we? It will build a pattern that will align you with your version of success through feeling good, through those feel good chemicals. This is not woo woo, hocus pocus stuff here that we're talking about. When we're talking about fun, we're talking about celebrating, it's because it actually, in our biology, helps us move towards our success. Now, I keep saying our success, our definition of success, because it's really important that we don't get caught up with society's definition of success if it doesn't match ours. Because we have been given one idea of success, and a little bit different for men and women as well. As a woman, you may have been given the idea that success looks like a family, it looks like marriage, it looks like your relationships, it looks like your appearance, it looks like these things that have in the past been associated with women's success, and that might not align for you, or vice versa, right? So I want to really make sure we hammer that home, that we're talking about your version of success, your definition, which you're going to work out in your assignment this week and continue to explore. Now, how do you celebrate? That also is going to be something you get to decide. Our society has pretty limited ideas on what celebration looks like. And for many of us, those might not fit, or they might not fit anymore, right? We think about toasting with champagne. Well, that might not be your idea of celebrating. That might not be something you want to engage in at all at this point. So that wouldn't work. Or maybe it's going out for a meal or purchasing something, and maybe those don't feel in alignment anymore with you. So a really, 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 really fun part of the self-mastery work is defining things like play, things like fun, and things like celebrating. So you're going to explore this week as well what celebrating means to you. I can think of a sobriety anniversary not long ago where I wanted to celebrate. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? It's not, I don't want to have a party. I don't want to hit the bars. I don't want to, there's so much I don't want to do that society calls celebrating. I took myself to a used bookstore, one of my all-time favorite places to be. And I got to pick out some new books. That might sound lame and cheesy to you, but that's really fun for me. I love bookstores. I love reading. I love the whole experience. And that was a gift to myself that felt like celebrating. And then those books got to be part of my reminder of my success as well. So that's a fun thing for me. You're going to explore what is fun for you so that you know when you have reached success because you've defined it. You'll know with each project or subject or area how you are defining success for that specifically. And you'll have some great ways to celebrate that you can pull from. Are there too many wins? Are there too many successes? No. You are winning every day. You are having victories every day. You are having successes every day. If you are on this path, you are doing your work, you're doing your play towards self-mastery, towards being in alignment with your true self. And that comes with all kinds of wins, all kinds of victories. Some of them may feel small. Some of them may even feel insignificant. They're not. There are no small wins. Each step is a step on the path, and they're all important. Some of them might feel more important or they took longer to walk to, but they're all important. And let's be real, if you are finding wins every day, and I do encourage you to look for them and you're celebrating, what is the harm? What's the worry? Okay, we think that, well, then I won't continue working because I'll be celebrating all the time. Wrong. You'll be building a pattern for success and you'll be training your brain to look for the wins and you will find more of them. I cannot express this strongly enough. People who are successful celebrate their wins. They find their victories and they have them defined so they can measure them. So it's a combo. We're talking about a mix of the feminine and masculine energies, right? Where that structure, that definition, that's very much in our masculine, the action, that's great. And then the joy and the care and the receiving and the nurturing oneself, that's very much in our feminine. So we're talking harmony here. So it goes even deeper than just our brain and biology. We're actually working energetically as well. And we want to have our energies together in harmony because it leads to, can you guess? More success. Yes, the more integrated we are, the more success we're going to find. And the more we're looking for it and having success awareness, the more we're going to find as well. And we are just going to be in this ongoing, repeated and repeatable cycle of success because we are pausing to acknowledge and celebrate all of our wins. Now, every win doesn't need a huge celebration, right? If you have a win that you're like, oh, I just recognized this thought I used to have all the time in this situation, I didn't have that thought. In fact, I was really excited. Ooh, my Bluetooth just powered itself off. Sorry about that. You might just recognize it within yourself. You might do a self high five. You might give yourself a hug. You might give yourself a pep talk and say, yeah, way to go. Or you might share it with your team, which is another really important part of this process. Bring your team in on your wins. Your team is invested in you. They want you to succeed. And often we can get caught up leaning on our team when we're in a tough spot, when we're struggling, and then we rob them of the reward of our successes. Your team is invested in you. They give you their time, they give you their listening ear, perhaps they give you guidance, they give you resources, they give you support, they give you challenges perhaps as well. And it helps when we can give them back our expressions of success and invite them to celebrate with us. That might even just be in that last example where you realized, I used to always think this negative thought, and then I just caught myself thinking a really supportive, positive one. And you shoot a message to your guide or your teammates and say, hey, here's what just happened. It was super awesome. And just give them a moment to be like, oh, that's super cool. That's really great. Congratulations. It doesn't have to be like everybody stopping their whole life to meet you somewhere to celebrate, right? They can just be moments of awareness and moments of recognition that you invite your team to celebrate with you. Here's the other side of that. When our team is invested in us and they can see our payoffs, our dividends coming in of that investment, they're more inclined to invest more. So if you're doing all this work, you're doing all this play, you're putting in your efforts, your time, your energy, and you're not going anywhere, and your team's watching this and they're hearing about it and you're bringing them along, and you're not having wins, you're not having successes, they're not going to see you as a very good investment. Now, that's not a pressure to have more wins and successes. You're already having them. I guarantee it. It's just a matter of letting them know. A good teammate will be thrilled to celebrate with you and to celebrate you. If there's someone on your team, and maybe it's the adversary, and maybe you don't share this with them because that's not their role, but if there's someone on your team who's intended to be in a supportive role intentionally, and they're not supportive of your wins, reevaluate their role on your team. And they might serve a different role. Maybe it's not a supportive role, but they still are valuable. I'm not saying you have to kick them off the team. I'm just saying reevaluate and make sure they're in the right role and that your perception of them and their role is accurate at this point with where you're at and where they are at. So We're defining success for ourselves. We are defining what success looks like on a smaller level as well, or specific level, not just life oriented. We're coming up with how we like to celebrate, what that feels like for us, and we're bringing in our team in all of this, not just because it's fun, not just because it feels good, but because it sets up the mindset for success. It gives our brain the training to seek success everywhere, and it biologically and energetically sets up a pattern for success, which will help you every single step of the way. Don't leave this out. Make sure you are celebrating, make sure you are evaluating and reevaluating when you pause down, and that you are your number one teammate and that you are giving yourself all the acknowledgement, recognition, and celebration you deserve for the work and play you are doing on this path of self-mastery. Let's be real. It can be challenging. It can be hard. It can be stressful. It can be difficult. That's just going to come. It comes with it. It comes with the human condition, and it comes with this disciplined path that we are on. So let's take the wins when we can. Let's have fun when we can. Let's rest when we can. Let's celebrate every single possibility that we can. Trust me, it will still be difficult. There will still be tough stuff. You're still going to have a challenge. You're still going to have another opportunity to trudge through the mud. When you can celebrate, do it. I guarantee it'll lead to more reasons to celebrate. You can find your assignments in the download section, just to the side, right, left. Maybe it's under this. It's somewhere. You'll see it. It'll say downloads and you'll have your field work there. Enjoy your celebrating for success.